Hey, this is Brett. I got asked this morning by somebody, which I get asked a lot, you know, how do you stay away from dark times, Brett? How do you stay away from depression? How do you always seem to stay in the game? Hey, listen, I've got best friends that have done really well in life, financially and with their careers and with their families and with their religion or non-religion choices. They've just overall done well. And I've read a little over 900 biographies, and I can tell you all, I have been through darkness. I mean, even Winston Churchill talks about his dark days. I mean, all these greats that you go back and listen to or read about or listen about, stories that are told about them, whether it's women or men, again and again and again, you'll hear about those periods of time where maybe there's doubt, or there is doubt. And it's interesting. It can loom. It can hover over the top of you. It can blanket you. I've had that happen to me before. And it's happened many times, not just to me, but my friends. But what's interesting about it is no one wants to admit it. That's the interesting thing about it. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, these type of people, they just don't want to admit it. But then you turn on the TV, you turn on social media and you look at somebody like Elon Musk and you say to yourself, man, imagine being a shareholder in one of Elon Musk's companies and having him give these speeches of these periods of darkness. I mean, the man is for real. And I look at myself and I say to myself all the time, I'm like, I want to be around people who tell the truth. I want to be around people who are for real. And I want to be real myself. I want to tell the truth myself in a world where I'm surrounded by people. It's not that they're lying to others as much as it is they're lying to themselves. Because long before you lie to someone else, you have to lie to yourself. You have to commit to the lie. You have to come up with the lie. You have to invent the lie. And it'd be a lie if I wasn't to tell you each that I've been in dark times. I mean, recently, I've come up against this bout of a second round of cancer. And as much as I want to consider myself an Iron Man, quote unquote, that doesn't mean that if you're an Iron Man or an Iron Woman, that there doesn't come a period in time where you have to think things through. You got to go deeper than you've ordinarily gone, or maybe deeper than you've ever gone before to find that faith. I'm reminded of something, and I brought it up here so that I don't screw it up. This famous rally cry, where this person was not only rallying the troops, but he was rallying himself. And it goes, once more onto the breach, dear friends. A breach, by the way, is a hole, like shoving a bullet in a hole or, shoving your body into a hole. Let's go. Once more onto the breach. Once more into the hole. It's a pit. It's a hole. And you find yourself saying, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to be part of it. And it's like, look, man, I'm sure that now more than ever at my age, in my mid-60s, I look at it more and I think about it more than I did, obviously, in my 20s or 30s. I'm just full of blind ambition back then. And blind ambition can get you a long ways. But at the end of the day, logic has so much to play with that element. And it seems to be a missing element, so frequently now that we don't logically sit down. I see So few men and women, young, medium, and old nowadays, just taking the time to logically think things through. Is this the right thing to do? Should I do this? Should I be part of it? And then the other thing is making the commitment. Making the commitment once you've decided, yeah, I need to be part of this. And having that dependability available to you that you already have. We all have it. We've all been dependable in some aspect, some area of our lives in the past. So instilling that in ourselves once again, now in the moments of darkness, all you've got to do is just get quiet. But what I find with most people, seriously, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, having been, in this war, life's war, with over 200,000 people in the mortgage industry and this industry that have been on my platforms, I find people more often than not running willy-nilly, like chickens with their head cut off, going faster, thinking that, like Denzel Washington says in his famous speech, standing up there in front of the college with the sweat pouring off of his head with his black robe and the black hat on. And he says, we're doing more, but we're not getting more done. And he talks about how you can run in place, but you're not going to get anywhere. And that seems to be so often what I see going on out there is an unwillingness for people to just sit down, get quiet, and say, okay, what did I intend to do here? What was my plan? What's my plan of action? I've got those 7 keys to success. If you look at my website, 7keystosuccess.com, and I can tell you right now, you've got to set a goal. Not goals, plural, but you have to set a goal. And you could set a goal, and you could set a goal, and you could set a goal. These are separate. You got to do this for each goal, and then you got to make a plan for each goal. And then you got to ask yourself a question: do you believe in the plan for each goal? And then if you believe in the plan, you got to put the plan in action for each goal. And then we're all going to deviate. That's what I call my dark moments. Not so much that I take my eye off the ball as it is, it's like, oh God, I don't want to do this today. Or geez, I don't want to do this right now. Or I don't want to do this week, or I don't want to do this month, or I just don't feel like doing it this year. I mean, I've lived those years before, where you got done with the year and you're like, oh, thank God that's over. Jeez Louise, or thank Christ that month is over. These are symbolic of a change, a transition from this month into that month, and that month into the next month. This day into that day. Yesterday into today. Last year into this year. These are symbolic. I really think it's the only reason that man ever came woman, whomever, whatever, whenever they came up with all this was these symbolisms to let you and I know, whoosh, whoa, that's over. Thank God. Where would we be, by the way, if the divine, the inventor of all this, whether it's God or whether it's an evolutionary process, let's not argue with one another about that. Let's just look at it for a moment and say, what if it had been designed where night never ends and day never comes and the sun never shines again? Jesus, that'd be a shitty situation. That'd be a crappy situation. That's one of the things that I love so much about where we live down here in Southern Oregon. And there's a lot of places like this around the world, but I can tell you right now, where I grew up in Portland, Oregon for 58 years, it's not that way. I can tell you, it is relentless, day in and day out. Darkness, rain, fog, mist, god-awful winds that circulate not just from the 4 directions, east, north, south, and west, but they come in from the southwest and the northwest and the northeast and the southeast. I mean, it's holy cow. I mean, they seem to come from directions that don't even exist, these winds and these rains. And they're relentless. I remember getting out of Portland, saying to myself, oh, whoosh, symbolically, my God, thank God that's over. And that's the way life is sometimes. But that's okay. I mean, they're talking about it all the time now on World Wide Web. You and I hear about it on all these platforms about how, it's not whether you get knocked down or not. It's how you get up. They've tried, we all try to put this into words. But I'm more of a feeling guy. I need to be able to feel. And I need to be able to understand that this came from an emotion. That's where feelings come from. Feelings don't come before the emotion. Emotion, or emotions, plural, with an S on the end, come before feelings. And what you got to understand is there's only 6 emotions. You've got fear, you've got anger, you've got sadness, you've got disgust, you've got happiness, and you've got surprise. And I can tell you, I've been in this world, the straight commission world, for years, and people are surprised at loan fund. It's like, why would you be surprised? You intended to have it happen. Or they're surprised that a loan doesn't go through. And it's like, calm down. This is normal. Loans fund, loans don't go through. It happens. That's life. But you can't be in a situation where you go down low when it doesn't fund and go up high when it does. Again and again and again, this is representative of life. I'm convinced there's no other position, no other industry, no other platform on the face of the planet that represents your life and my life more than the straight commission sales industry, the straight commission sales world. Because, I see these men and women, young, medium, and old, just go down and up and down and up, or up, 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 and then down, 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 up, up, down, 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 up, 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 up. Listen, following a paycheck is not a good idea. It's just not. If you want to do that, my recommendation is go get an hourly job. Simple as that. Go get a salary job. Punch the time clock. Work 8 to 10 hours a day for the man. But let's understand that you are the man. You are the man, metaphorically speaking. And so ask yourself, are you reporting to work today? And, every once in a while, what you should do is maybe grade yourself and say, how am I doing? No different than any HR department calling you in and say, hey, we're going to do a quarterly review on you here. We'd like to see you on Tuesday, or we'd like to see you on Friday. You go in for your quarterly review or your semi-annual review or your annual review. Have you ever tried that? I mean, again and again, what I found that was really, really had a huge role to play in my life was when a guy by the name of Jack Clennigan from Double S Foods, which is the Sizzler Corporation, he was one of the sole living heirs before it really went defunct. But what I learned from Jack Clennigan was that you and I are in a situation where we don't do a good enough job of holding our own feet to the fire. We look for others to do that. Coaches, moms, dads, employers, bosses, managers, to hold our feet to the fire, make us do what we're supposed to do that day, that week, that month, that year. For me, what I do is I make sure I'm doing a daily review on myself. I make sure I'm doing a weekly review on myself at the end of the week. I make sure I do an end of the month review. I make sure I do a quarterly review every 3 months. And I make sure that I'm doing a semi-annual review, which is halfway through the year, and a review at the end of the year. And here I was a little bit ago. It's 8:15 a.m. right now. It's 8:15 a.m. right now, West Coast time. What is today? Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. And I can tell you all, I was in the bathtub about 2.5, 3 hours ago, taking a quick bath, about a 45-minute bath. That's a quick one for me, by the way. I usually like to sit in there and read for a couple hours before I get the day started. But anyway, long story short, enough about my bathing. That's too much information. TMI, right? Anyway, and I felt this blanket of darkness. I didn't go run to the, cabinet and get the razor and slip my wrists. I didn't run to my door here in my office at home and get one of my handguns or my shotguns or my rifles and blow my brains out. I didn't say I'm not going to do anything today. I remember just doing what I'd been doing for countless years. And it'd be more like not countless years, countless moments in time where I just eased into it, got quiet, closed my eyes, and said, "What's going on? What's going on?" What's the old saying? Ask and ye shall receive. I say, don't and you won't. And so I had to tell myself again and again, stop running. Get quiet, be still. Don't add insult to injury by going faster, by avoiding it, like it's this thing, it's a grim reaper that's going to catch up with you and what, kill you? Listen, there's nothing wrong with a prevailing moment where it's like there's doubt going on. Again and again and again, I'm reminded by my wife, who's an astrologer, into astronomy. And she reminds me again and again and again, think of this like a birth, like you're giving birth. And what does the OBGYN say? What does the doula say? What does your birthing coach say? Every once in a while, they'll say, stop, don't push right now. And that should be the way your life is. I know I find myself that way with my own life, and it really metaphorically works great for me, where it's like, okay, don't do any heavy lifting right now. Or maybe don't do any heavy lifting today. Or maybe don't do any heavy lifting this week. If you're, 3 days into the week and it's Wednesday and you're like, God damn, Jiminy Crickets, nothing's working for me no matter what I do. You're flogging yourself with the whip. It's like, come on, get moving. It's like, let's just calm down, slow down, ease up. Don't get infuriated. Don't be in a situation where you're angry with yourself. Don't be disappointed with yourself. There's nothing on the face of the planet worse than shame. Shame. Think about it. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on me. Think about it. That's a terrible thing. It just blankets you. I remember as a young man, again and again and again, the adults used to say this a ton when I was a kid. Shame on you. Shit. And they do it so repetitiously without any effort that after a while, I remember thinking to myself, there's something wrong with me. I'm constantly being told shame on me. And the confines got tighter and tighter and tighter. I'm sure that this had a lot to do with me going to see a shrink at 17 and a half years old, simultaneously with my pastor at Milwaukee Lutheran Church, because I found myself in an environment where it was like, well, what is this? You and I should be born into a world where it's A through Z. A through Z, not A through D or A through C or A through E, but A through Z. But I live in an elderly community here that's gated, where people are retired, and I find what's happened to these people is they've become very myopic, and they do live A through B, A through C. They start worrying at this time of the morning, 8:19 a.m., at what they're going to have for dinner. It's going on all around me in these 94 homes right now. I swear to God, God is my witness. You'd be at their house and it's like they're putting out their meat for tonight. They're putting out their chicken. They're putting out their hamburger for tonight. They're getting their salad ready. And it's like, my own mother does this stuff, where she starts preparing her dinner for tonight at 6 o'clock, 6:30. Actually, it's gotten worse. It gets down to 5:30. Then it got to 5, and now it's at 4 p.m. It's unbelievable, quite frankly. It's this focus, and then there's talk about, I didn't sleep well last night. It's like, geez Louise, pretty soon it's like an insane asylum living in here, quite frankly. For me, it's been a window into my future, because I'm not in my 80s and 90s like them. And this is the reason why my wife and I are moving out of this community, is there's no life here. There's no life here. The lights go out at 7 a.m. and there's a single light in some, front room somewhere, or maybe in the bedroom, and they're lying in bed reading. And by the time you get to 8:30, everything's, look, it's literally a ghost town in here for us. Rollerblading, we're bike riding, we're walking the dogs, and we're alone all the time. But what it's allowed me to do more than any period in my life, the last 7.5 years I've been in here, it's allowed me to reflect. It's almost like been a timeout to get me ready for what I'm going to do next out there when I get outside of this commune and this gated community. And I have to tell you, it's very representative of the way that my life has been, where I've compartmentalized the day. It's like, okay, God, thank God I got that day over. Or, whoa, I graded that day. It's like, wow, that was an incredible day, But once I'm done, like filling out, I'm using this book right now, Planning. And once I'm done with these notes, then what I do is I just take the page and turn it. Now it's blank again. And I don't look back here for at least 6 months to a year. I won't allow myself to look back here. I'm someone that likes to look forward, not backwards. I don't like to look in the rear view mirror of my life for any other reason other than maybe like just a little bit ago to bring up a story, like talking about when I was 17 and a half years old, had my first anxiety attack, have to go see a shrink and have to go see a psychiatrist. What's interesting is my friends, Weaver, Noble, Bockham, Harris, Baranaga, Qualls, these people I grew up with, Grammel, Brooks, Cowan, Hermel, they went through these hard times also. And again and again and again, I would see them fall out of life. I mean, multiple buddies, girlfriends from grade school have killed themselves or given up on life, live on Social Security, It's interesting to be around people and watch what people do. And it's interesting to watch what you do. So be cognizant of yourself today. Be cognizant of yourself this week. Be cognizant of what's going on around you this next month, for this year. Keep in mind, we're only 4 months and 8 days into this year. And statistically speaking, over 98% of us have already gotten rid of our New Year's resolution. So remember back to New Year's Eve with all that gusto and that ambition, maybe blind ambition, and say to yourself, hey man, maybe I better tie back into that energy. Because it really is, by the way, an energy source that's available to you and I. And that's what I did this morning. I remember just quietly sitting in the bathtub saying to myself, what you got to do is you just got to tie into that energy. But then I felt it. And something came out of nowhere, and it was the word exhausted. I'm tired. And I started laughing, and I came to this saying that I read to you at the beginning. Once more into the breach. Just imagine that speech by Henry V. He's standing there, and he's talking about, during this speech, how he rouses his men by telling them to forget peaceful modesty, imitate the ferocity of a tiger, and prove their noble upbringing. Summon the blood. Think about that. Call out and summon the blood. Have the balls it takes to say, exhausted? I mean, I remember being in my 20s and 30s, and I would knowingly say to friends and family and whoever would listen, I will sleep when I die. I tied into that energy this morning, and I'm fired up. I want to let each of you know it only came because I was down. And I had to pick myself up. Well, you know what? Once in a while, you got to grab your own self by the back of the shirt and say, let's go. Get your ass in gear. It reminds me of many, many years ago, we were little kids and we were playing in the front yard a game. I don't know if they play it now, but it's called Simon Says. And I remember being in my mid-20s, talk about these journals I keep. And I got to tell you something. One day I wrote this down in my mid-20s, and it's like, the hell with Simon Says, Brett says. And I started to give myself assignments for the day. And boy, that's an interesting thing. When you give yourself an assignment for the day and you get to the end of the day and you haven't done your assignment, or you get to the end of the week, you haven't done your assignment for that week, or you get to the end of the month, you haven't done your assignments for that month. You know, now you got to call bullshit on yourself. Now you're going to feel that shame, and you're going to be like, hey, shame on you. Well, I got to tell you something. I don't want to live in an environment where I'm saying shame on you to myself too often. I don't want the man to say it to me, and I certainly don't want to say it to myself. So understand this, you're not letting anybody down other than yourself. And you've got the ingredients. It's no different than the ingredients right here on this package of food that I eat on a regular basis because I have tough times swallowing. Look at those ingredients. There they are right there. I mean, there's the vitamins and minerals that are in here. And that's the way your life is. Your life is chock full of these elements and ingredients, and they're available to you at all times. So for some reason you need a little vitamin B12 or a little magnesium, a little iron, a little zinc, a little copper, a little vitamin C, whatever, then so be it. Metaphorically speaking, if you got to take a boot and shove it up your own butt, shove it up your own ass to get yourself going, then do so. But understand there is times, and I understand this, where I've had to say to myself, you know what, I'm going to stay in the tub a little longer, or I'm going to stay in bed a little bit longer. And then I would recommend that if you're going to do that, that you do so knowingly, and you say, give yourself a clock, a time, where you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to allow you 3 hours, or I'm going to allow you the day. You know, I'm going to allow you a week. But after that, by God, it's over. No mas, no more. Sayonara, it's over. So watch yourself. And if you're someone who refuses to be in a situation where you're honest with yourself, where you take the time out of your day, or out of your week, or out of your month, or out of the year to reflect back and be honest with yourself, you know, maybe you should start. Maybe you should start. Don't be afraid of yourself. Learn about yourself. Understand yourself. At the end of the day, I can tell you, yeah, it is a metamorphosis that creates a little bit of angst, a little bit of anxiety oftentimes. But at the end of the day, the value in it will be unimaginable, but because at that point you will be able to be in a situation where you can say to others and to yourself once more, oh God, I gotta do this again. Once more into the breach, into that deep dark hole of the unknown. Once more. You know, who knows, maybe this may be the time, you know, that time, that one more time where you force yourself into it, kicking and screaming, and then all of a sudden you find yourself involved in that level of success that you've been looking for years. You know, and I will tell you this, it's a saying that's overused by all means, but we're just renting success. We are. You know, all the money in the world doesn't matter to me whatsoever. What matters to me more than anything is that I get up today and I do it again. Because I got things to do today. You got things to do today. If we don't, what else are we going to do? What else are we going to do? You know, and that's I see around this community, everywhere I look around this community, and I think to myself, I'm like, good God, you know, they had to have been thinking in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s about what they were going to do when they retire, like a cruise, or maybe going hunting more, or hiking more, or fishing more, or camping more, or to the movies more, or traveling more to foreign countries, or going to other states, seeing this country, going down the back roads rather than the highways, and just seeing the world for what it is. These people had to have done that at some point in their lives, or said that at some point in their lives, if not quite often. But now I look around and I see them, and it's like, what they'll tell you. This is what they'll tell you is they'll tell you, I would do this if I wasn't sick. I would do this if I wasn't hurting all the time. I would do this if I could. It's like, hey man, life is such that every once in a while you got to do things hurt. You got to do things wounded. I mean, you can do your life at home just as well as you can in a car or a hotel or a tent, or on a plane. I mean, they're all these boxes and compartments. So if you find yourself in an environment that you don't want to be in right now, take the time to take a moment in time and get yourself an ink pen and get yourself some paper and write down, a little list of things to do. Now, what I would recommend that you do in closing is you make your list really small, so that it's obtainable, so that you can feel victory after it's done. Now you sit down, you have yourself a cup of tea, you have yourself a piece of raisin bread, and you say to yourself, and you thank yourself. I mean, I could tell you, in closing, every one of the salespeople I ever talked to on the phone or met in person, at some point as I get to know them, I look at them and say, the one missing element that you have is that you don't celebrate enough. But there are those that celebrate all the time. And what they're really doing is, metaphorically speaking, they're eating their dessert before they're eating their main course. You and I know those types of people. You may be one of those types of people. They're partying all the time. But at the end of the day, they're not getting done what they want to get done. For me, the way I look at it is, I got to do my chores, and then I celebrate. And so you got your chores, you write them down on the list, the things to do today, get that list done, and then celebrate. Anyway, I just want to say hi to all of you and let you know, this guy asking me this morning, how do you stay up all the time? It's not the case. It's just not, In fact, just thinking about it just now, when I started this video, I probably was still down, quite frankly. I probably was. I was probably still involved in remnants of the darkness. It doesn't just go away. I mean, when you understand endorphins and dopamine, it's not as though it just goes away. Receptors, it doesn't just go away. It goes away over time. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of us, that's why we retreat to drugs or alcohol or porn or shopping, is because we get that instant injection, slap back that bottle of wine, slap back that whiskey, slap back that doobie, whatever, or get online or go out, get in the car and go shopping and get some more, dopamine and endorphin release. It's all false. It's all false. So be careful to live in that environment and make sure that fundamentally it's something that will, help you with your foundation in life. Anyway, thank you if you stayed this long listening to me ramble. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day when you see this, hear it, listen to it. I hope it resonates with some of you. I certainly know there's some of you out there that will never get to this point in this video, and I understand that. There's no doubt I've rambled this morning for a lot of this. So anyway, Thanks a ton if you stayed this long, and hang in there. Hang in there. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, a wonderful afternoon, whenever you get this. Bye-bye now. Love and kindness in your direction.